What's up YouTube, Webberz05 here, coming out today with a deck profile of my Invoked Plunder Patrol. So before I get into the profile, I want to explain the concept of why I thought of this. So the way I see it is Plunder Patrol manipulate opposing attributes for their gain, which is kind of similar to what Invoked does, so I thought I'd give a go at mashing the two together. It's not a massive Invoked engine because I really didn't have a lot of space, but I chose like a couple of decent ones and I think it works out quite well, so I've tested it through, had a nice game with Dark Magician 84 with it, and turned out quite nicely, so without further ado, here's the profile. Okay guys, so starting the profile off with the Plunder Patrols. I'm playing 3 of each one, so 3 Whitebeard, 3 Redbeard, 3 Bluebeard, and 3 Golden Hair. So I pretty much gave the proper explanation of each one in my last profile, but for those who haven't seen it, or just need the basic catch-up, Whitebeard's like the guy you want to open with. If he's sent from the hand to the graveyard or from the field to from the monster zone to the grave, you can special summon one of these guys from your deck. So that's essentially what you want to do. You want to set yourself up. Redbeard, if he's sent, he gets to equip, so he's kind of the one you want to do later. I'm not sure of him at 3, but like I said, I'm just maxing out on it, so I've got more Plunder Patrols. Blackbeard, he can special summon himself if you've got Plunder Patrol once per turn. Golden Hair, she can discard a Plunder Patrol from your hand to special summon herself from your hand, and if she's in the grave, you can just discard a card to special summon her, but then it locks you into summoning Plunder Patrol, so best opener, best extenders, and then Redbeard's just kind of meh, but we still have to play him. And then my Invoked engine in terms of monsters, I'm just playing 2 Alistair. I don't feel the need to play 3. And 2 seems to work fine because I really don't have the massive space in my extra deck for a huge Invoked engine, so I figured a small engine, I don't need too much of Alistair. And then last monster in my deck, 2 copies of Grid Sweeper, just a level 4 extender I can use to either make Blackbeard or Moark or Synchro, because it's really useful, just an easy special summon level 4. It's also light attribute, so it works well with Emblem as well. And then his grave effect's pretty decent as well, but it doesn't come up too frequently. So that's it for the monsters. Going into the spells. So the Plunder Patrol spells. 3 Shipyard, your main Searcher, and point and naturally attack buff. 3 Emblem. The attack buff also lets you tag out a Plunder Patrol using stuff from anywhere, extending on their abilities. And then 2 shipping. Ugh, still hate saying that. The fusion spell, but also really useful as a grave to banish it to equip a Plunder Patrol from your deck or the emblem. So even though I play 3 of the fusion monster, I'm only playing 2 of the fusion spell. Just on the off chance, naturally, I might just tag a monster out into the fusion monster, so then it's just kind of a dead card in my hand, so it's just discard fodder. So, and I'm finding 2 works absolutely fine. The Invoked side of it, just 2 Meltdown and the 1 Invocation. I know most people typically play 2 Invocation because we all know that when the first Invocation gets stopped, they've always got that second one. But in my case, I actually only have 1. Because, again guys, it's a small engine, so I've only got, like, in my extra deck I've only got 3 Invoked cards because I didn't have space for a lot of other things. So I just kind of went with the minimum of what I felt like using, so I don't feel the need to extend too much on that. If I find a way to add some additional space, maybe I'll try a larger Invoked engine, but we'll see. And then my last set of spells, my one-off spells. 1 Terraforming to hit into one of my 5 field spells. Monster Reborn, general usage as an extender. Raigeki, because we're going second build. And Mind Control, same as Raigeki, going second build. So for the spells, and going into the traps. Start with the Plunder Patrol traps. 3 Bosi. This is like the main trap you want to see lets you manipulate your opponent's attributes and recur your resources. 2 Pride of the Plunder Patrol. This is a really nice option if you're going first, because it lets you try and manipulate your attributes by getting rid of your opponent's cards. And then 1 Plunder Patrol Party. Just gives you some extra draws. In a matter similar Phantasm, it lets you draw cards equal to the number of Plunder Patrol equips you've got. Then you get rid of +1. Then you get rid of cards from your hand into the deck equal to the number of equips you've got. So one thing I've noticed with this deck, guys, is when you're setting up, you do tend to burn through a lot of your hand. So this is just a really nice way to give yourself some resources to try and have a discard available in your opponent's turn. I only play 1 of it because even though the draw effect is good, the draw effect is once per turn, which isn't great. And since it's a trap, you have to set it first. And then the other reason is the graveyard effect, which is if you special summon a Plunder Patrol from the extra deck while it's in the grave, you can equip this card from the graveyard to it with the effect that the equipped monster gains 500 attack. But that effect is once per duel, and as most people know, most effects that state once per duel, you typically only want to play 1 of it. So despite the fact that this card has a very proactive first effect, I kind of don't want to play more because of the once per duel clause on it. And then the last trap in my deck, 3 Imperm, because it's pretty useful if I get forced to go first for setting it, and if I go second, naturally it's a hand trap that I can use because I've got no cards. Okay, so that's it for the main deck, guys. Going into my extra deck, my Link monsters, 2 Blackbeard, and 1 Nightmare Phoenix. Nightmare Phoenix obviously just as spot back row removal, and in terms of the emblem of the Plunder Patrol, it gives me a fire attribute available. Blackbeard just as the main Link gives me a really good, because he's so good. In my own battle phase he's really useful and very useful on my opponent's turn, because in my own battle phase I can just go attack with my Plunder Patrols. After everything's done, I can go effect a Blackbeard, target this Plunder Patrol, tag him out into another one and attack with it, and then I get to draw a card. On my opponent's turn, if one of my Plunder Patrols is threatened, I can just go effect a Blackbeard, target the card that's being threatened, change it into a Plunder Patrol and draw. So it's really useful for like dodging effects. Xyz, 3 Plunder Patrol ship Moarch, just like the main Xyz that I want to use. Easy and probably the easiest monster to go into because he's dark, which naturally, as most people know, is probably the most prominent attribute in the game, like both now and pretty much has always been. And really useful as well because Moarch lets you discard a Plunder Patrol to banish a monster, then you get to roast for a Plunder Patrol spell or trap, which is really good. So it's really nice disruption. He's not got the most amazing stats, but I find mid to late game, after you've started setting up your board more, he's really useful. And then I also find he's pretty useful if I just tend to XZ summon him as opposed to tag into him, because then I get his secondary effect, which is detaching a material to protect Plunder Patrol cards from being destroyed. Going into Synchros, playing 2 Plunder Patrol ship Bran. So this is useful as a way to give all my other fiends an attack buff, with the exception of himself, which is kind of annoying, but it makes sense. And he's also really good for eliminating back row, as the opposite of Moarch. Moarch discards a Plunder to banish a monster and then rotate a spell or trap. Bran does the opposite. You discard 1 to banish a back row and then you rotate for a monster, which is pretty useful. And he's generic as well. We've got tuners in the form of Whitebeard and Golden Hair, so he's pretty easy to go into. And then my other synchro I'm playing, 1 Adamancipator Risen Dragite. So I saw this when I was doing some research on the deck for Eternity Code, and I took a look at this and I'm like, why are they playing this? Read over the effect. Oh wow, this is a spell trap negate while I can have a water monster in my graveyard. My entire deck's water attribute, so that's pretty easy to do. And it's also got 3k stats, which is pretty useful. And fusion monsters, 3 Plunder Patrols at least. This is probably the best Plunder Patrol in the extra deck at the moment, just because it gives you a monster effect and a negate by discarding a card, And then if it's equipped with something, when it does this, you get to rotate for any Plunder Patrol card, which is really good. And also gives you extra options, like what I've said with Blackbeard, that lets you tag stuff out. So you can go in your... So Release has the effect during the main phase. You can special summon a Plunder Patrol from your spell and trap zone or from your hand. So if, for example, if you're trying to set yourself up and you have to negate a hand trap, since you're not particularly worried about getting the search with it afterwards, you can just go, okay, before battle phase, effectively special summon the Plunder Patrol that's equipped to it. Battle phase, attack with Blackbeard. Blackbeard effect, tag out the Plunder Patrol I special summoned into something else and attack with that. So really great way. And then the Invoked fusions, into the Invoked fusions I'm playing. Let's start with the obvious Mecha Bar, because extra negates. Then Purgatrio, Fire occasionally comes up because of things like Ash Blossom, Nightmare Phoenix, pretty easy to do. So it gets an attack buff based on your opponent's monster set pierces, which is useful. And then based on the Plunder Patrol side of it, also playing Invoked Coctis, just as kind of another option. I have thought about playing the latest Invoked fusion monster that came out in Eternity Code, but I'm not entirely sure of it, and as you can see, guys, the extra deck is extremely tight for space, so I'm not really sure. But yeah, so far in testing, I'm finding the Invoked engine works quite well when I see into it, because like I said, guys, I have cut the engine a bit, but yeah, it's proven quite useful and I quite like it. And naturally, Alistair has his own effect of pumping fusion monsters, so even if I don't use it for the Invoked side of it, I've got Lease, which is a fusion monster, so I can pump its stats as well. Okay guys, so that's the profile. Hope you all enjoyed it. Let me know down in the comments what you thought about it. And if any of you guys are doing anything interesting with Plunder Patrol, I'd be interested to hear about that as well. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Stay safe, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to Webberz05, and if you're already subscribed, feel free to hit that notification bell so that you never miss an upload.